8 weeks ago, we started through this series on Proverbs, where we were taking a look at the wisdom of Proverbs and figuring out how it applied to our lives. And we started reading through the same chapter of Proverbs once each day for an entire week. And this last weekend, Pastor Wayne wrapped up our series on Proverbs, and he and I were talking, how do we want to land our reading through Proverbs? And we kind of decided, let's finish where we started. See, because 8 weeks ago, we read through Proverbs chapter 1, and we saw that Proverbs is jam-packed full of these bite-sized pieces of wisdom, and that we then have a responsibility in that wisdom, that we're supposed to hear it and listen to it, but also do something with it, put it into practice, apply it to our lives. And we see in Proverbs chapter 1, again, right, that the purpose of these Proverbs is to teach people wisdom, to teach us discipline. These Proverbs teach people how to live successful lives, to do what is right, to do what is just, to give insight, to give knowledge and discernment to the young. See, I'm reminded this time reading through Proverbs, kind of where Pastor Wayne shared with us this weekend, that as followers of Jesus, when we look at growing in wisdom, it doesn't just end with us, right? To learn this wisdom, to live a successful life is not all about me, myself, and my dreams. But rather, as a follower of Jesus, I grow in Christ's likeness, and I grow in godly wisdom and recognize that my eyes then are always pointed outwards to both those that are outside of the church, those who don't know the hope and freedom of Jesus, but also, as Wayne said this weekend, everything we do today affects the generation to come. As I sit here right now in our first kids' nursery space, where right behind me is where my wife and I check in our 1-year-old daughter every week. And this space is full of kids. I'm reminded and kind of connected to God's story in the fact that long before I stepped on this earth, and long after I leave it, unless Jesus comes back first, God's wisdom was for his people. God's truth was for his people. He made himself near in the person of Jesus. And we are invited to be a part of that story. So this week, as you read through Proverbs chapter 1, as you reread and rethink about all we've been talking about in this series on Proverbs, may we recognize that we're growing in wisdom, but we're not doing so for selfish gain, for spiritual superiority of some kind, but rather we're doing it humbly, recognizing that God's been good to us, and that when we grow in his wisdom and put it into practice, it makes a difference in this world. And we get to be a part of seeing his kingdom come and his will be done on earth as it is in heaven, both today and for generations that are going to continue on and on and on. So may we lean into these words of Proverbs. May we soak up God's wisdom. May we take in his teachings and put them into practice. And by his grace, together for generations to come, we will continue to learn the art of living wisely.